Hi everyone, my name is Rishid. Today is the 11th of January 2026, and today I'll be going over my weekly prediction for gold. As usual, I'll cover the monthly, weekly, and finally the daily charts, and then I'll switch over to the Excel sheet to review this week's prediction in more detail. But before getting into the video, it's important to make the disclaimer that all information here is completely educational, and therefore it is important to conduct your own analysis, whatever analysis that may be, to ensure that you're comfortable with the risk, reward, and trading style, since you may not be with mine. So without further ado, let's get into this video. Now, monthly charts, we can see a very clear pattern. We can see from the yellow channel I've drawn, it is a clearly upwards moving price action here, especially in the last 5 months. We did have a minor consolidation, however, that broke out very quickly and we had a sharp up run. So we can see that, interestingly enough, this price action is going up, but the volume is confirming it as well. We're seeing very high volumes in gold, and the MACD is confirming all of this price action. So all around, extremely bullish movement. Now the RSI is highly overbought, but looking aside from that, the fundamentals are very strong, and especially considering the amount of uncertainty in the market right now, gold sort of comes to mind as the first sort of safe safe currency or safe alternative asset that people crowd towards in times of uncertainty. So gold is not looking like it's going to go down anytime soon, but that's what we get from the monthly charts. Now weekly, a little more interesting. We see that this stuff is seen in more detail. Where it becomes interesting is here. We see that the price action is clearly going upwards from this point, right? However, the RSI is fully divergent. We can clearly see this divergence. Although the MACD is confirming this price action, we have a clear divergence in RSI, peak to peak. So this becomes interesting, right? Because this is empirically speaking, a very good signal as to whether the market is sort of going to crash or not, or going to correct. However, because it takes a while for the RSI to correct, there's no guarantee as to when it'll happen. It is just a moment of caution. We've seen some other times this happens, but nothing correct. However, it is an interesting bearish divergence that that you should keep in mind, that if it can signal, it's an early signal to a potential correction. So yeah, that's what we get from the weekly charts. Now moving on to the daily charts here, we can see it in a little more detail. We can see this channel in more detail. We see that most of the time the price has stayed within it. There's been a few one break here, one break here, but it's all whipsawed back in, right? But see, now we're in this interesting position because this here was an all-time high. The market crashed pretty heavily from here, but it has recovered. And now we're at this junction where it is very likely, if the market continues going upward in this next week, we may see a retouch of this market high. Now, we see that sort of the volume has been pretty stagnant. The same, not particularly increasing. You can make the argument it's actually been decreasing in the recent short term. The MACD has just crossed upward on the last day, so that can be a good signal if it continues. So that's a good sort of, well, not reversal in this case, but yeah, it's a confirmation that this sort of movement here has been enough to move the moving averages above zero. So that's a good sign, and the RSI is confirming this as well. So we can set sort of our entry point here right above this, right above the high of this candle here. If it does cross upwards, we can go buy. However, if it does sort of cross below this here, this sort of previous position, which has been a support point for the last 3 candles, if it does break below that, then we have confirmation for a sell signal. Moving to Excel sheet, we can see that we will buy gold if it crosses 4549.74 and sell if it falls below 4438.87 with a target of 2% and a trailing stop loss of 1. If neither are hit, we close on Friday. And the weekly and monthly charts are bullish for now. And that's all for this video. Thank you for watching. Enjoy, and I'll see you in the next video.